Tic Tac a game that is known to exist since the times of ancient Egypt, would bring fond memories of school days to most of you. For those of you who are not quite familiar with the name of the game, let me help you recall it. Tic Tac has been one of the best games to kill time where two individuals choose and draw X's and O's alternatively on a 3x3 square grid, often drawn with a pen on a piece of paper. If any player succeeds in drawing 3 consecutive marks either in the horizontal, vertical, or diagonal way, then that player wins the game. Otherwise, the game draws when all the spots are filled. With the Python project by Tech with One, we are going to build an interactive game of tic-tac-toe and learn new things all along the way. If your curiosity is bubbling with excitement, then wait no more. We bring this course to you as a package inclusive of the steps to design the game and a hands-on demo as well. So let's get started without further ado. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any new updates or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoyed this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video with any queries or suggestions and I will respond to your comments.
Hi, welcome everyone for this video. Here we'll be learning regarding how to build a tic-tac-toe game by using Python language. The agenda of this video would be introduction. First we'll know what is the game all about. Then we'll have the steps and procedures how we should code similar to an algorithm. And at the last we'll have hands-on demo. Now we should understand how this game works in the introduction. Tic-tac-toe game is also known as X and O game. We have two different players. Either one can choose X or O. If player 1 chooses X, by default player 2 will be having O. If player 1 chooses O, by default player 2 will be having X. These are the only two combinations where the characters can be chosen. Apart from this, we also have a board or a grid that is in 3x3 format. That means 3 rows and 3 columns. So we also call this game as noughts and crosses. So when this person or a player is considered to be a winner, only when either of the characters X or O is being placed consecutively 3 places, either it might form a vertical consecutive place or a horizontal or a diagonal arrangement, that particular person or a player is known to be a winner. So this is basic rules which we have followed, which we have played in our childhood, and this is the game all about. So let's quickly hop into the next step. How do we convert this particular game into a coding format on Python platform? Steps to design this particular game in the Python platform. First, let's understand in normal English language what are the different steps we have to follow. Nothing but a kind of algorithm. So let's quickly hop into the step 1. Designing the tic-tac-toe board. We have to design this particular board in order to place the characters inside. Right? The platform should be made ready. 3x3 is the format, that is 3 rows and 3 columns. The numbering of the cells goes from left top corner. That is 1 starts from left top corner and the 9 ends at right bottom corner. So this is the format we follow. And in step 2, we have to store status of the board and every player's moves using data structure. Right? So status of the board might be either of 3 different status. One would be empty, second would be filled with X, third would be filled with O. What about players' moves? Every player move, either it will be X or O depending upon the choice made by that player at the starting of the game. If player 1 chooses X, then player 2 is obviously have to take O. If it is O at the end of the player 1, obviously it is X at the end of player 2. So we have to keep track of each player's move. In step 3, we should know what is the loop of the game. Every game has its own method of running, own method of execution. So until the player will win or the game will be drawn or the player will lose, we also have to execute the iterations every time. Every time we have to check every move that player makes. We have to check whether the status of this or the result of this game is in win or draw or in lost mode, right? So we have to loop the game in step 3. In step 4, we have to handle or players moves how the iteration goes, right? In every iterations or every player's move, we have to check whether the character chosen or the inputted character is X or O only. We should not allow any other characters. So the next condition is whether the grid or the number of the cell chosen by the player is ranging between 1 to 9. Either it should not be 0 or it should not be 10 also, right? So we have to check for that condition. The third condition which we have to check is whether the selected cell is filled or not. Sometimes there might be a repetition of that particular cell where the player might choose by mistake. We have to create exception handling methods for all these. What if all this problem occurs? How the code will self repair, right? In step 4, we have to form exception handling for all the 3 conditions listed. Step 5, we have to update the grid accordingly. Every iterations, the every player move, we have to improve or update the grid, right? The grid update according to the player's move is the step 5. Step 6, we have to check the status of the game result. Every step we have to check whether the game is in win mode, lost mode or a draw mode, right? We write function only for win or draw here. Why? Because if it is not both, then it is obviously the player has lost the game, right? So losing would be by default. Either if it is not, he is not winning, nor the game is in draw mode, obviously he is losing the game. So in step before going to step 7, we have to also consider that we have two different conditions here. How do we declare the game is in win mode or in draw mode? Win mode has 8 different combination of the numbers or the grid numbers or the cell numbers where the person can win horizontally, diagonally and vertically. So we have to mention all these cell numbers and we have to make if this particular character consecutively falls in this particular combination of numbers, we have to consider that number or that combination into a win mode. So anything apart from this, these 8 combination, it is a draw mode or a lost mode, right? So condition for draw. What might be a draw condition here? When all the 9 cell spaces are being filled, then that particular game is a draw game, right? So these are the two conditions we have to follow and check in step 6, right? In step 7, we have to exchange the player turn every successful iteration. After player 1, it has to be player 2, again player 1 and player 2. So this should go on until the result has been declared either win mode, draw mode or a lost mode, right? The turns to be given in step 7. In step 8, we have to code for scoreboard. Scoreboard is very necessary. So in order to have a scoreboard, we have to get the names of the players, right? Player 1, what might be the name? We should give them an condition or a printf statement or a print statement where they can accept the input from the user, and we have to store that temporarily, their name, until this particular code is being completely executed, right? So we have to maintain the scoreboard. So we have to get the names of the players who they are playing with, right? So either player 1 name and player 2 name also. So that is step 8. Coming up to the step 9, we have to store information related to the game. What are the different information we have in the game to be stored? Which player chooses X or which player will be choosing O? Obviously, if you know one player's option, another player is by default either it is X or O depending upon the player 1's choice. Player's turn. Who is playing first, who is playing second? And scoreboard updates. Every iterations, what are the different score that particular person has scored. How the scoreboard will update is only when that person wins. That's about it. We are not going in depth of maintaining the scoreboard. We are just having the scoreboard, how many games player 1 won and how many games player 2 won. So that's about it. So in step 10, we have to design scoreboard using dictionary in Python, right? So keys will be the name of the player and the values will be the score, that is win numbers. That's about it. So step 11 is having menu for choosing the symbol. First, when we start the game, we have to give options to the players where they can choose either X or O, right? So in step 12, we have to handle and assign players choice every iteration. So what is the move the player is taking, where the X is being placed, where the O is being placed. So this particular move should be taken into consideration and we have to assign and handle player's choice. So coming up to the 13th step, we have to execute the match. We have to execute the code. Every time from starting to end, we have to make sure every player gets equal opportunities, and as soon as the game has been terminated, we have to close the program. So execution should be taken into consideration. So step 14, update the scoreboard accordingly. Every time we win the match, we have to update and we have to ask the user or the players whether you want to continue or you want to quit the game. So accordingly, the scoreboard gets updated. How many games they play, that many times this win number will be updated in the scoreboard. So this is all about the steps to design this particular game, that is tic-tac-toe in Python platform. Let's quickly see how do we implement the steps which we learned in the previous videos into a coding format. Why wait? Let's quickly switch to the IDE where we can put up the codes and try to form tic-tac-toe game. So here I've already put up some code in order to make you people understand what are the different functions we need, what are the different elements we need in order to form this particular game, right? Starting from the first step, here I have written a function in order to create tic-tac-toe board, right? I'm using list with places reserved from 0 to 8 because it starts with 0 by default. Hence, there are totally 9 spaces, 9 boxes in the grid, that is 3 cross 3 grid. It is having 3 rows and 3 columns. So these particular curly braces will always let us to put up the values whatever the player or the user puts up while playing the game, right? So this is about the function which we create in order to form a board, the initial grid, right? So that is the function. And hopping up to the next one, we have a scoreboard. So I'm starting with the functions where we need a basic elements like grid, scoreboard, names of the players, etc. So initially the scoreboard will be 0 because no game has been played yet, right? So this is just the scoreboard which is having the heading scoreboard for tic-tac-toe and player names, and the score default will be 0 until at least one single game is played. So that is the function in order to print scoreboard for the tic-tac-toe game. Next, we have function to check which player won the game, right? So as I've told you, we have to check each and every iteration if any iteration might match with these particular 8 combinations. How does this 8 combination come? I'll explain you how it is, right? We have named the grid from left top corner starting from 1 to right bottom corner ending with 9, right? So we have to know 8 different combinations. How am I taking the combinations? I'll let you know. It is row 1, row 2, row 3, right? Again, column 1, column 2, column 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. Two diagonals we have from left to right bottom corner, from right top corner to left bottom corner, right? So 3 plus 3 plus 2, right? We have three sets, I mean, because of having 3 rows and 3 columns, 3 elements we have in each set, and we have 8 different combination of those. So if any of the combination, either of the combination in these 8 sets will match, at least one it will match, then it is always considered the person who is matching this either with X or with 0 consecutively in these any of the one combination out of these, he or she is a winner. So this is a winner condition which we have to follow, right? So that is how it will check for these combination. Either of the one set is matching out of all these, it will try to convey, return back the value to the main program that player position, that is player one, that is current player, is been uh, winning the game once, right, or twice, depending upon what is the loop of the game, whether the game is third game or fourth game. So it depends upon that, right? So here the current player might be player 1 or player 2 has won the game. If it is true, it will return true. If it is false, it will return false. No, none of the combination is being matched, then it is false always. So once it is false, let's check for the next function what it happens. So we have to see when the user is not a winner, at least next in each and every iteration, it has to try to see whether all the grids are being filled. Say, if all the grid or the boxes is being filled, then it is known to be a draw. It is not matching all the combination of the winning combination also. It is filled up with all the boxes. There is no other way. Then either player 1 is not the winner nor player 2 is not the winner. So nobody is the winner here. The match is in draw. The game is in draw. That is how we conclude. So we have to check two different conditions for each and every move the player makes. One, whether any of the person is a winner, or if the match is being draw. So we have to check for these conditions regularly. That means each and every move, each and every iteration. Hope this is clear. Fine. So next we have function for a single tic-tac-toe game. So every game which it goes, it has to go through with this function. So let's understand what is this function all about, right? So here we have to keep the track which position is occupied by X or which position is occupied by O, right? Player 1 will select X. Obviously, player 2 will have to work with O. And X is being put up in which place of the grid? 1, 2, 3, or 4. You have 9 different combination to put up, right? So we have to have this temporary updation databases where which position is taken by which character and which player. We have to keep all these in lane, right? So after this, we have looping, right? Looping, what happens in game loops, usually we have to have some conditions where the exceptions are handled. There is chance of making errors by knowingly or unknowingly by the user or the player, right? What are the different errors it will occur and how to handle? Why I have put up these things in exception block? Let me just explain you this, right? So here I have try block. So what I'm trying to check here is whether the player has given a proper input or not is the first main concern. So what are the different conditions you have here in order to satisfy, in order to clear, is the first condition whether the person is giving any alphabet except X or O. We have to check that first, because keyboard has so many numbers and the user can type anything intentionally or unintentionally, right? So we have to first check for the character is matching, either it should be X or it should be 0 or O, right? So first thing is that if that is the case, then we have to return an error message, wrong input, please try again later, or something. You can customize whatever you want to print and communicate to the user. Here I have given wrong input, try again. The next thing you have to understand is, here if you could see in if statement, I have a condition, move is greater than 1 or move is lesser than 9. That means the number which they choose in order to store their character, irrespectively it might be X or O, where they are storing that on the grid, right? So it should range between more than 1 and less than 9, right? So we have only 9 boxes in the grid. The person cannot give 10, 11, 12 or 13 as in position. When that happens, we have to throw up an error message to the user conveying please choose the right number between 1 and 9 or 1 to 9, right? So that is how it goes. Next, we have to check for one more condition. First thing, I repeat, we have to check whether we are having a character which is mentioned, which is under the rules, that is X or O. Second, we have to check whether the grid or the box number is ranging between 1 to 9. Third thing which you have to check here, what I'm trying to check here is whether the place which is taken or given as an input, the box number is being filled already or empty. We have to check that first. In case if that box number is being repeated again and again, it will land up to an error. So all these three conditions has to be inside exception block, because in order to self repair the code rather than ending up with a garbage value or sudden stop of the code, in order to avoid all these things, we have to have these conditions priorly in the exception block. So if this case happen, what would be the solution? If that happens, what would be the solution? So we have to think as a programmer what might be the constraints which will come up, right? So here as the third one, as I explained, whether the place is being occupied or not should be taken into consideration. If it is occupied, if the grid number or the box number given by the player or the user is matching, right? So then we have to give the place you have chosen is already filled. Please try again, or anything you can put up in order to communicate, to convey to the user what you are doing is wrong. It is already been taken. Please choose any other number. So these are the three things which have to keep in mind for every iteration of the game or every time you play the game, right? So apart from that, you have board status. I mean to say, scoreboard should be updated, right? So every time the board should be updated where we have to have certain numbers that is going on and on. It started from 0 by default. If one particular iteration is complete, that means one particular complete game has been done, we have to at least choose who is the winner or who is the loser, right? Whether the game has been won or it is in draw mode, we have to keep that status on. Then we have to update the positions of the player. The next thing, why we have to update position of the player? The reason is because if player 1 starts, next should be player 2, again 1, again 2, the iteration should go on. So we have to keep on updating the player's position from 1 to 1 2. That is how it goes. We are appending it, right? We are moving the number. So after that, we have to check for winner. As I told you, every time, every move, we have to check for the winner. So once you give up this, once you give this particular block function, when the player is being considered to be a winner, that means all the 8 different in the combinations which we have, either of the one will be successful out of this 8. Then we have to consider that particular player as a winner. So that is how it goes, right? We have to check winner, player position we have to see, current player we have to see, and the player number, that is player number 1. Player 1 has won the game. So we have to declare the player and send the number to the function. So in order to execute, right? So after that, we have to check whether the game is a draw, right? As the function is written already, the same function will be called here. What is the draw condition? All the boxes in the grid to be filled. If it is filled and it is not matching any of the combination of the winners, the 8 combination, then the game is draw. So we consider the game is draw and we give that particular print statement out to the users to see. So after that, as I told you, switch player moves. We have to switch the player moves every time, either from X or O, from O or X. It depends upon what is the character chosen by the first player. If the first player chooses O, by default we have to keep the second player X. If the first player chooses X, by default we have to keep the value or the character O to the player 2. So it is vice versa. It depends upon what player 1 chooses. Only 2 combinations we have. Either it can be X or it can be 0. So or O. That is how it works. Then you have a main function. where first we are asking, the function starts from here actually. When I execute, you will get to know. Here, what is happening? Player 1 details has been taken. Why? It is for the scoreboard purpose, right? We are displaying the name against the number of winning they have made, right? How many games they have won, right? So player 1 details is taken and enter the name of the player. It will give the output on the output screen. The player will give the name. It is stored. Again, player 2 details is taken. After that, what is the choice of the player, right? Who will choose what? Player 1 chooses X or player 2 chooses X. It depends upon which character is chosen by which player. We have to store that before starting the game. After that, we have to update the scoreboard details, right? With the name, and the by default it is 0 until unless there is no game played. It is by default 0. That is why it is kept as play 1 0 and play 2 0, right? After that, we are printing the scoreboard. The scoreboard function gets executed, which I have shown in before actually, right? After that, we have game loop for series of Tic Tac. Why I'm telling series? Because if the person chooses to play 10, 20 times the same game, it has to go on and on. The loop should be on. So that is why first I showed you single loop, then I'm showing you in now how we have to take up the game if they want to play multiple times, right? So here we have turn to choose for which player. It is for you, player 1, whether you want to choose X or O. Then they'll say X, then the game continues. Again, it will ask if once particular iteration is complete, it will ask after declaring the scoreboard, it will ask again this particular block will be represented. If I want to continue the game, it will ask enter 2 if you want to choose O, enter 1 if you want to choose X, right? If you want to quit the game for the first time itself after finishing, then please enter 3 to quit. So these are the conditions which I have put up. So again, you have a try catch block. Why? Because only 3 options are for you. 1, 2, 3. It cannot be 0 nor 4, right? We have to check for the choice of the input what the user has given, right? We are passing that input. If it is having a value error, it will show up wrong input. Please try again later, or try again giving certain values, proper values ranging between 1, 2 and 3, right? After that, you have certain conditions again for choosing what the player will choose, right? So if the player 1 chooses the option 1, what happens? He will get X or he will get O. Depends upon it. If it is 2, again it is O. What I've given here, for 1 it is directly X. Yes. For one choice it is given for X. Again, if it is 2, then it is O. So it depends upon it. Like player 1 chooses 1, this part will execute X part. If player 1 or 2 chooses this particular option 2, this part will get executed, right? After that, you have again option 3. So what are the different final scores we have? So before quitting, it will give you the scoreboard and it will quit. 3 is actually quit. I've given enter 3 to quit, but before quitting, abruptly ending the program, we try to display the final scores and quit, right? Any other choices beyond 1, 2, 3, we put up a default statement here that is wrong choice, try again, right? So that is how it goes. Then in order to store every single program, every single game winner, we will use this particular single game function and we try to store the value who is the winner. And scoreboard will be edited accordingly as soon as the game goes on. If it is one game, it will stop with the one game. If it is 2 or 3 or more, it will be considering all the games that has been won by the respective players, right? So every time we have to choose the scoreboard, I mean winner or the draw game, we have to switch between the players and see who has won how much. So in order to do that, we have to update the scoreboard, which happens in this particular code section, snippet of code, right? So that's about the explanation for this particular tic-tac-toe game where we are implementing using Python language. right? So I'll quickly try to execute in front of you what might be the output. So let's wait. It is trying to connect. So I'm using Google Colab in order to make this program work. I mean, implement this program. So quickly, let's wait for a minute. Yes, we got the output screen. So this is how it will ask. First, it will ask for player details. As I have told you, I'm putting the player name as Ram. Player 2 name, again it is, I'll put second name. So initially it will display the scoreboard as I told you. Ram is at 0, Sham is also at 0. So now Ram is given a chance in order to choose which alphabet or which character they need. Either it is X or O, right? So Ram is choosing 1 for example, right? So it will try to put up. Yes, this is the grid how it looks, right? In which place, which box you want to put this X. Ram says I want to put it in 2. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that is how it is going. So at the position 2, clicking, what is happening? It will give an option for player turn in order to put up 0, the next player, right? So I'm trying to put that into 3. Okay, again player X turn. So we are taking not the names, by we are taking the character names. Player X means the first person who chose the X as his character. Player O means the second player. We are not choosing their names actually here. We are only recognizing when they are playing with the symbols which they have chose. Don't be confused. Okay, so here player X turn. I have to quickly end this. Now I am just trying to count this particular whether character where it should be placed in order to win the game. So it has to be placed in cell 5. I am trying to make this vertical alignment, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm putting the X in fifth box. So let me check. Yes, it is here now. Now it is the turn for the second player who has chosen 0. I mean O, right? So I'll try to give 1. Fine. So this is the condition. Now there is a chance for the player 1 to win, right? They have to put up their character that is X in 8th box. So I'm trying to put 8. So generally we know that we are the I mean sorry, generally we know player 1 is winning the game because I'm making them win. So 8. Yes. So immediately what happens? One of the condition will be true. What might be the condition out of 8 different sets? Let me tell you. It will be 2, 5 and 8. Right? If you quickly go back and check the winner condition out of the all the combinations we have, whereas see, this is the particular combination. It is okay out of all these 8, and the player is being considered, the first player is being considered as a winner, right? So 258. Okay, so let's quickly see. Yeah, see, this is 258. It is satisfying. Hence the player 1, that is player who chose the character X, is a winner, right? So the scoreboard will be presented. Ram, that is the first player, won one match. Right now the win number is 1 for Ram. So next the cases will be seen whether you have to continue. If you want to continue, it is the turn of Sham now. Sham wishes to play the game further or quit. Depends upon the second player. Say he wants to quit. So we are quitting the game now. But if you still want to try, okay, let me give a Sham with option 2. So what happens again, where you have to place? I'm placing in 1. Okay, next X turn, player 1's turn actually. Now there he is trying to put up in 4. Let me see. Okay, Again, player 2's turn. I'm trying to put that particular O value in the place 2. I'm trying to end this game soon. So I'm just trying to give a proper input. I'm not playing a proper game here, game kind of thing. I'm just trying to put up the values to show execution for you people, right? So this is 5. Okay, so now it's turn of player 2, remember, right? So I am giving 3. Actually, horizontally, it is clear now. 1, 2, 3. Right. So now the score is equal. Ram won the first game, Sham won the second game. So I'll try to quit selecting option 3. What happens? Let's see. So this is done. Yes, it will stop giving us the inputs further. If you could see here at the end, it will finally give you the scores, final scores before abruptly quitting, right? It's better to show the final scoreboard. Final scoreboard we have is Ram has won 1 game, Sham has won 1 game. So that is how it goes. So that's about the implementation for this particular tic-tac-toe game in Python. Hope this is clear. Now we are in the summary part of the video. Let's reiterate what all we learned in this video, right? So first we started learning in general, how does this tic-tac-toe game work? So what are the different aspects we have to consider? Say for example, we had first discussion on how does the board look? What is the size of the board? It is 3 cross 3, 3 rows, 3 columns. What are the different characters we use? Inputs, there are 2 types of input. The characters are X and O. How many players we have? We have 2 players. Each can choose either of one. So if player 1 chooses X, by default, player 2 will be having only one option to choose, that is O, and vice versa. So after learning all these basic elements about tic-tac-toe, we started approaching the problem in the second part, that is stepwise design for this particular problem statement. In layman's perspective, we started jotting down the points where it is understandable for everybody in normal English. Nothing implementing regarding code and syntaxes and stuff. It is just approaching the problem in algorithmic manner, right? We had 14 different steps in this video to know what are the different aspects we have to consider to build this program on Python, right? So we had different conditions. For example, to choose a winner, we have to see the combination, 8 different combination of 3 different characters in it, 3 different places. Either it might be vertical alignment, horizontal alignment, or diagonal alignment. If any one alignment is been okay, that particular player is considered as a winner. Likewise, in order to consider the game is in a draw mode, what did we do? We tried to check if all the 9 boxes are being filled, nobody is satisfying those 3 sets, I mean 8 combination, nothing is being satisfied, then that particular game is a draw game. Neither player 1 nor player 2 is a winner. So we considered all these kinds of exceptions and conditions priorly according to the layman's perspective. Then all those 14 steps were converted into a coding functions or on the coding platform, right? So that particular function was written part by part and integrated together on Google Colab using Python language. So that was taught on hands-on trial, and the output was also displayed for different types of conditions and how does the program will work. So that's about this particular video. Thank you.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any new updates or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoyed this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video with any queries or suggestions, and I will respond to your comments.